Luke, great to see you, man. Welcome to Pop Alternative. Welcome back to Pop Turn. It's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm stoked to be back, man. I'm stoked.
There's a lot at play here, and I know you've been doing a lot of press and chatting with it. I mean, this movie was filmed during the pandemic, so there's going to be a lot of the kind of like you were at home, you had opportunities to collab with your friends. I want to focus on the horror movie component of this because I love the fact that I got terrified. Your character was a pain in the ass in this movie. I mean, like that's the point, you know what I mean? But like, yeah. I'm just wondering, like, from a horror movie perspective, like, what was that like when you guys finally got scripts and like when you were actually going to go kind of film the sequences? Because this is a very popular genre right now. Like, you look at the last 5-10 years. I'm just wondering that component of it.
Yeah. Well, it was a challenge, obviously, with the Screen Life, way of telling a story, which, Screen Life being through Zoom and like it obviously lended itself to the times and being in quarantine. It did solve a lot of problems for us as far as production, having to stay within regulations of COVID and with SAG and all that kind of stuff. So it did serve us that. But as far as the horror aspect, it was like, okay, that's the challenge of like, how can we keep the stakes when I don't have a knife to me, right? Like
exactly. That's where I was
worried about my
I'm
friend.
so happy you say that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, how can we keep those stakes? And so, in the creation of the story and collaborating with the Bear brothers, who are really great at what they do. They're just very, very talented writer directors, and they're amazing collaborators, which is probably the most important thing in making a movie. It's such a team effort. And when you have someone who comes in like, oh, it's my way or the highway, it's a detriment to the project. And they're not like that. They were just like, yes, let's make this as best as possible. Like, everyone give to this. So the challenge was like, okay, how can we create the stakes, maintain the stakes, and then push them to this boiling point when it's such a removed, like, interaction, right? It's like, so it was all based out of fear and anxiety of the unknown and, okay, what is happening? How do we figure out what's happening? And the stakes really are carried through this more of like an investigative, heightened anxiety of trying to.
You're a detective member watching the movie too, right? Like you're like the audience is kind of figuring it out. I had to check my Zoom settings, I feel like, before I started this interview. You know what I mean? Because like,
yeah, right.
But at some point, I'm not gonna lie, and I feel like this is the point. But at some point in this movie, man, with your character, I was looking for my own remote. Like, is there an off button with this guy? Like, he's just like. He won't stop. So I'm just wondering, like, that script to screen journey, right? We're reading that where he's just kind of like, I know maybe there was some improv, maybe it was scripted, but he won't stop. And everyone, I know a lot of people say that we have a guy in our friend group like this, you know what I mean? But like, was that challenging? Because at some point, except for, no, I'm just saying, because at some point, except for the last like 15, 20 minutes of the movie where he finally like clues in and he's like, oh no, like something's going on. He doesn't stop this guy. Oh my God.
Yeah. I think with ensembles, it's easy for them all to think the same way, right? And so you really want to create levels and you want to create, adversarial point of views. And Adam was one where it's like, I'm going to be the guy who never believes it until I finally do believe it. Like, might as well, like, Adam was this character that it's like what he believes is what he believes throughout the whole thing until his mind has changed. He's going to be a doubter. And we needed that doubting presence in order to, really create a grounded sense where it's like, okay, why does everyone buy into this all at once? No, we need the levels, right? We need to like, someone needs to not believe it. Someone needs to fight against the narrative of like, oh my God, something's bad happening. He's like, oh, nothing's bad. Like, we needed that. And so Adam ended up being the one where it's like, oh no, he can be a little bit like, let's let him be annoying. Let's let him like, be like, oh no, you guys don't know what you're talking about, yada, yada, yada. As far as like challenge, it was honestly really fun to be that guy.
Yeah,
I
absolutely
really enjoyed it.
Drove me nuts.
And it was, I loved, it created
you must love this right now. Because I talked to Jack and Ashley about this yesterday, and they were like, that's kind of Luke.
Yeah, there's definitely a part of me that likes to be very disruptive. Yeah, me and Jack were roommates for a long time, so he's seen that part of me for sure.
Absolutely. There's a question here. But Minutemen is top 5 DCOM of all time for me. And got the chat with Dexter Darden about it. Chester is one of the most underrated DCOM characters of all time. almost like he's playing two characters because he becomes kind of like a jerk at some point with the whole time ripple and everything. You obviously had a lot of opportunity working in comedy. This is a horror that kind of has those comedic moments, especially in the beginning where you're all talking over Zoom. How separate are past things like that in the comedy world compared to something like Don't Log Off? Do you bring mindsets or preparation from past things? Are they completely separate once you wrap them?
Oh yeah, definitely. Acting is acting, and it really is. And the great, you take elements, right? When you boil it down to its simplest form, great horror comes from just playing the truth of the moment, and great comedy comes from playing the truth of the moment, right? And the way that those stories, scenes, dialogue, the way that they're depicted then gives you your tone of the film. But that's just kind of how I came into this process as well. I think that's how we were able to have a movie like this where there's strong comedic moments and there's parts where you're, enthralled in the friendships and you're laughing along with them, or you're annoyed with them, or you're scared with them. It's like, let's not worry about, like, I think people get in their own way where they're like, oh, I'm trying to get this point across, or I want the audience to feel this way. It's like, no, let's make it be organic to us. Let's feel these moments and play the truth of these scenes and trust that it's going to resonate in the way that we want it to. I think it's very, very similar. I prepped this very similar to how I would like a comedy, I'm going to put the truth of the moment.
Absolutely. It's interesting too, because I asked Jack this, and like there are movies that are in that kind of screen, the screen movies, right? Like there was Unfriended, there was Host. Did you get a chance to watch those movies at all before making this? Like, did you use those for research at all?
Yeah. On how we were going to tackle the actual filming of this and that kind of thing. We definitely, looked into how they did that. What was the best way? How could we use, their pitfalls or what they did successfully to our advantage? As far as a story standpoint, we really just want it to be our own.
100%. Absolutely.
So it was more like
but technical. The technical aspect of it, absolutely. The conversation, I mean, it's so tough to ask a lot of these questions because it's like, this was a pandemic movie, right? Like you did this like without seeing a lot of people, you know what I mean? That's why I'm kind of stepping away from those questions, right? But it's like, there's going to be a lot of conversations with, the directors and the writers before you go film something. And I'm just curious for you, I guess it depends on the project or the mindset, but like, when do you like those conversations to happen the most from a creative perspective? Do you like them before you go to camera? Do you like them while you're doing production? Like, I'm just curious about that for you.
Man, I'm a big proponent to plan. Yeah, I think that successful movies plan, and they plan, and you plan so that then on the day you can throw the plan out the window. You know, but if you never have that plan, you don't have anything you throw out the window. You're still planning in the moment. So no, all these conversations happened ahead of time. Everything from the technical things of like, all right, here's how we're working our GoPros, right? A lot of these were shot like with GoPros on the camera screen next to where you would see, we would see each other on like what I'm looking at you now, the computer camera, and then we would film the movie on a camera next to it. That was a GoPro that had a mic. And so there was a technical thing of planning ahead, of making sure everyone understood, how to work the technology. The scenes were very fleshed out. We rehearsed them ahead of time, kind of play style, like meaning like a play, they're very ensemble, and you have the lag, the kind of the natural lag of FaceTime and that kind of thing. So we had to plan for that. Okay, like this moment's dragging probably because of the lag. So like when you hear this word, make sure to jump in so that we can keep the momentum of the scene. And so it was that kind of thing. Yeah, a lot of planning. And then when we were able to get on the day, then we were able to rock it. Throw caution to the wind and do some improv and have some fun and use the sets that we had. And
I'm a horror movie filmmaker as well. It's a great genre to work in. I love this movie, man. Congratulations. Can't wait for people to get it on VOD when it's out. That's Don't Log Off. Luke, great seeing you again. Thanks so much for your time, man.
Dude, thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.